The Director General of the BBC has claimed that the BBC has had a great year for impartiality. I have two words to this: Gary Lineker. Yes, the same Gary Lineker who compared the government's current migration policy to that of language used by Nazi Germany. The same Gary Lineker who was suspended, briefly, because his comments so badly offended many people up and down the country. The same Gary Lineker who strolled right back into the BBC, got right back on his soapbox once again, and proudly stated that he would continue to make his political statements no matter what the BBC guidelines are, or something to that effect. Yes, that's Gary Lineker, who has no respect for the BBC and no respect for the people across the country who is mortally offended. So when the Director General comes out with these statements, it makes you wonder yet again just how disconnected the BBC really is from the public. Now, the Director General did state that he regretted the Gary Lineker fiasco, but to then go on to say that it's been a good year for impartiality, as if the Gary Lineker fiasco wasn't that much of a fiasco when it was, and to not acknowledge that the poster boy for how not to be impartial was simply just allowed to stroll back in to the BBC, well, again, just goes to show the disconnection the BBC have with the wider public. There is a reason why people want to defund the BBC. There is a reason why people don't like the BBC. There's a reason why people have turned away from the BBC, because people are sick to death of the endless left-wing propaganda that the BBC has been thrusting in their faces for a number of years now. So, do the BBC seem impartial now? No. Is there anyone out there, apart from the BBC, who thinks that the BBC is impartial? I doubt it. Could the BBC be impartial one day in the future? Perhaps. I mean, miracles do happen. I think that the BBC needs to take a long, hard look in the mirror. It needs to see what it truly is as opposed to what it thinks it is. And if it wants to reconnect with the public and become truly impartial, rather than just saying it without any actual proof, then I think it needs to take a look at the incredibly impartial people and broadcasters it has. Because it isn't just Gary Lineker. There were people complaining about the coronation coverage. They didn't like it. People complaining that, people stating how happy they were that Boris Johnson dropped out of the leadership race last year. People championing animal activism extremism. Yes, all of this on the BBC. The great mouthpiece for left-wing propaganda that many, many people are simply sick to death of. So BBC, impartial? No. I'm sorry, you're not. And if you want to be, you need to take a good, honest look in the mirror at what you really are. I'm Sarah, this is Reasoned. If you want to see more, please like, comment and subscribe.